Good morning, General Counsel. Is there a quorum? Wonderful. Good morning. I'm Ann Valentine, designee for Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch, calling to order the May 2024 meeting of the IHCDA Board of Directors here at the Corydon School Senior Lofts in Corydon, Indiana. We are meeting pursuant to this board's policy for participation by members of the IHCDA Board of Directors in board meetings by simultaneous electronic communication. This means that only 3 members must be physically present at the site of the meeting, and the remaining members may call in. There will be an audio feed for the general public so that members of the public can listen to the meeting. There will be a link to a video recording posted on IHCDA's website next month. At the time the motions are being made, each board member that makes a motion must state his or her first and last name for the record. The votes will then be tallied by roll call. I will now take a roll call of board members to confirm members who are present and their location. Ann Valentine, designee for Lieutenant Governor Suzanne Crouch, present in the room. Mark Pascarella.
Present, Corydon, Indiana.
Avi Reddy.
Present on behalf of Treasurer Daniel Elliott.
Thank you. Board member G. Michael Shopmeyer.
Present here in the first capital of the state of Indiana.
Board member Andy Place Sr.
Present remote.
Wonderful. Board member Chad Frywe.
Present remote.
Board member Tom McGowan is not present today. To start off, first we'd like to hear from Rick Moore and welcome him from Advantix Corporation, which is, by understand, is the developer of this wonderful property.
Yes, we are. Thank you very much. Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I want to welcome the IHCD staff and here the board that would choose this area to come out and conduct their business. This is one of our first tax credit project that was awarded through tax credits in 2017. So we do welcome you here. We will welcome Lieutenant Governor if she gets here. I want to thank Tim Martin, who leads up our projects. I mean, he stays busy with his team, projects that was awarded through tax credits throughout the state of Indiana. And I'm glad you're here to kind of take a look at our product. I mean, when you award us credits, this is the what we do with these credits. Advantix was developed back in a few years ago to expand the mission of providing affordable housing, sustaining existing housing. So that's been our mission. And since 2013, when we converted all of our public housing units to RAD, that's been our focus to increase affordable housing throughout not only Evansville, Indiana, but throughout the state. So again, I want to thank you for being here. I'm going to be brief because I know you got a lot of business to conduct. And so right now I'm going to introduce Mary Deaton, who's the property manager here.
Wonderful. Thank you. Good morning, Mary.
And as he said, my name is Mary Deaton, and I am the property manager here at the Corydon School Senior Lofts. Just a little bit about this. Corydon is a small town with a rural feel, making it perfect for the retirees to relax and enjoy. Located in the downtown area, where a short walk gives access to all life's needs. Across the street is the Rice Island Park, with a shelter house for shade or picnicking. There is a smooth walking path for daily exercise, and nearby Indian Creek gives residents a chance to watch the rippling water and maybe see wild ducks, turkeys, or herons. There is nothing as restful as sitting and watching the water flow. Within the blocks of the Corydon School Senior Lofts is Indiana's first state capitol. The historic downtown square offers small restaurants, coffee shops, art galleries within the adjacent with an adjacent public library and the Hayeswood Theater Playhouse. Almost every weekend, the Capitol Square hosts music shows or festivals. The local Harrison Township Fire Department assists us here with more than fires and first aid. They are always willing to lend a helpful hand. For seniors challenged by mobility, the Corydon School Senior Lofts organizes communal activity on the campus here. Residents and guests can attend teas, seasonal parties, a chili cook-off, cornhole tourneys, pumpkin carving, or the monthly bingo. Eclipse 2024 was celebrated on the rooftop patio enjoying moon pies. The residents have also formed a band that comes together every Monday to play an instrument, sing, and enjoy camaraderie. The gymnasium is also a place they gather daily for coffee, cards, puzzles, and various activities along with companionship. The folks at Corden School Senior Lofts look after each other like a big family and good neighbors. The Corden School Senior Lofts is a safe, secure locale with no crime or bother. Everyone deserves security and comfort. Small town living with access to every need and very convenient and untroubled. Thank you.
Thank you so much. It is great to be in a location where we've sort of put the money in. So it's nice to really see this work in action where we're usually having our meetings in Indianapolis. So thank you. Looking forward to a tour later. I also want to thank the Cord and Dulcimer Society for the music preceding our meeting this morning. The first item on our agenda is the approval of the minutes from the April 25th, 2024 board meeting. These have been provided to the board ahead of time. Does anyone have any changes or corrections?
Mike Chopmeyer, move for approval.
Mark Pascarella,
Andy
second.
Blake, second.
We have a motion and a second. I will call the roll. Mark Pascarella,
Aye.
Avi Reddy,
Aye.
Michael Shopmeyer,
Yes.
Andy Place,
Yes.
Chad Greiwe.
Aye.
Ann Valentine, chair votes aye, motion carries. Next up, please welcome Peter Nelson, who will present the Home Investment Partnerships Rescue American Plan Program YW Lofts board member. Good morning, Peter.
Good morning. Thank you, board. I am here this morning to recommend the YW Lofts project through our Home ARP program. So just a little reminder about Home ARP. The American Rescue Plan did give IHCDA just shy of $55 million in this Home ARP funding. HUD approved our allocation plan for these funds, in which we set aside about $32 million of those dollars specifically for the development of affordable rental housing. So after our plan was approved by HUD, we did issue a request for proposals and had 10 teams apply, all of which were selected to receive funding. These teams are eligible not just for the Home ARP funds, but some for National Housing Trust Fund, Development Fund, and some of the Home ARP specific nonprofit operating assistance. So this specific project being developed by the YWCA of Northwest Indiana submitted their application in February of this year. It is our 8th application that we received through this process, and they have a total development cost of just about $3 million. So they are requesting $2.5 million in Home ARP funding. Excuse me. They are proposing, the YWCA is proposing rehab and adaptive reuse of a former hotel in Fort Wayne, which will create 13 units of affordable housing. This project would contain 9 efficiency and 4 2-bedroom units for individuals and families experiencing homelessness, and will have a specific focus on those fleeing or attempting to flee domestic violence, dating violence, sexual assault, stalking, or human trafficking. I will say this is the only one of our Home ARP projects that are specifically targeting that population, which is one of the 4 qualifying populations under the Home ARP program. So that's very exciting to see that we have that population represented and targeted for some of these funds and housing. So this project does have a lot of the same amenities that you'll see in a lot of these permanent supportive housing projects: dedicated community space, supportive service space, on-site laundry. It's also located right along a bus route, so quick access to downtown Fort Wayne, along with many area businesses, restaurants, retail, healthcare options that the residents may need and will have quick access to. So the YWCA of Northeast Indiana is also requesting $50,000 in the Home ARP nonprofit operating assistance. So after our review of the application, we are happy to make the recommendation of the 2.5 million in the home ARP funds and the $50,000 in the operating assistance. I'll pause here for any questions.
Any questions from the board? Seeing none, we will take your resolution.
All right, staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve awarding $2,500,000 of home ARP funds in the form of a grant and $50,000 in home ARP nonprofit operating assistance to YWCA Northeast Indiana, Inc. for YW Lofts as recommended by staff.
Board, we have a resolution. I will entertain a motion.
Andy place motion for approval.
I second. I'll be ready.
Thank you. We have a motion and a second. I will call the roll. Mark Pascarella.
Aye.
Abby Reddy.
Aye.
Michael Shopmeyer.
Aye.
Andy Place.
Aye.
Chad Greiwe.
Aye.
Ann Valentine, aye. The motion carries. Thank you, Peter.
Thank you.
Next up, we have Samantha Spurgel, who will present the Home Buyer Award Recommendation Habitat for Humanity of Greater Fort Wayne Board Memo.
Thank you so much and good morning.
Morning.
Today I'm here to present a request for funding for Habitat for Humanity of Greater Fort Wayne. In early April, we received an application for a request of funding to support the new construction of 2 units in Huntington, Indiana. This would be the 3rd award to Habitat for Humanity of Greater Fort Wayne, Indiana. Previously, we have funded other units in Huntington, Indiana as well. With that, I can pause and see if there are any questions.
Any questions? Okay, we'll
One.
hear your resolution.
Thank you so much. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve a home buyer award in an amount not to exceed $253,640 to Habitat for Humanity of Greater Fort Wayne Incorporated as recommended by staff.
We have a resolution. I'll entertain a motion.
Andy place move for approval.
Mike Shopmeyer, second.
We have a motion and a second. I'll call the roll. Mark Pascarella.
Aye.
Abby Reddy.
Aye.
Michael Shopmeyer.
Aye.
Andy Place.
Aye.
Chad Greiwe.
Aye.
And Valentine, aye. The motion carries.
Thank you.
Next, Samantha Spurgel will be presenting the home buyer, oh boy, I'm stumbling today, Samantha. The home buyer award recommendation, Habitat Development Corporation LLC board memo.
That was fantastic.
Thank you.
I was really impressed after you announced Peters. So our second request today is for Habitat Development Corporation LLC. This is the nonprofit subsidiary of the Indianapolis Greater Habitat for Humanity chapter. They have created this subsidiary previously as a community housing development organization, or CHODO, which is very exciting. This is the first CHODO affiliated with a Habitat chapter within the state of Indiana. Previously, we have funded a project in Noblesville, and this is their second project request to us through our program. In early March, we received an application for the new construction of 4 units, 3, in Lawrence, Indiana, and 1 in Greenfield, Indiana. In addition, we were also able to certify Habitat Development Corporation as a CHODO, which makes them eligible for up to $50,000 of CHODO operating funds, which is also a part of this board memo. Happy to see if the board has any questions.
Any questions? Okay, I believe you have 2 resolutions. We'll take the first one.
Awesome, thank you. First, staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolve that the board approve a home buyer award in an amount not to exceed $444,000 to Habitat Development Corporation LLC as recommended by staff.
You have a motion, or I will entertain a motion for this resolution.
Move for approval. Mike Shopmeyer.
Thank you.
Andy place second.
We have a motion and a second. I will call the roll. Mark Pascarella.
Aye.
Abby Reddy.
Aye.
Michael Shopmeyer.
Aye.
Andy Place.
Aye.
Chad Greiwe.
Aye.
Ann Valentine, aye. Motion carries. Your next resolution.
Fantastic. Staff respectfully requests the board approve the following resolution. Resolved that the board approve home CHODO operating supplement funding in the form of a grant in an amount not to exceed $50,000 to Habitat Development Corporation LLC as recommended by staff.
We have a resolution before us. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'll be ready. Motion to approve.
Andy place second.
We We have a motion and a second. I'll call the roll. Mark Pascarella.
Aye.
Avi Reddy.
Aye.
Michael Shopmeyer.
Aye.
Andy Place.
Aye.
Chad Greiwe.
Aye.
Ann Valentine, aye. Motion carries. Thank you,
Thank you
Samantha.
so much.
Please welcome Stephen Enns, who will present the Homeowner Assistance Fund update with PowerPoint presentation. You guys are quick getting up to the microphone today.
It's a quick walk, yes. Good morning, Board and Madam Chair. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm glad to be here today to give you a little bit of review and an update to the Homeowner Assistance Fund. And I'm just waiting a moment for that PowerPoint to
We don't
pop
have a
up.
Dulcimer Society to play through our pause here while you're getting that.
They have left the building, I'm afraid. There we are. So yes, the Homeowner Assistance Fund, the Indiana portion of that is IHAF. And just a very quick bit of background. The Homeowner Assistance Fund was established by the American Rescue Plan Act. And through that act, the U.S. Department of Treasury distributed just shy of $10 billion across the states, territories, and Indian tribes. Indiana received $167.9 million of that for us to allocate. There was a 15% cap on admin. The rest went to homeowner counseling and to direct assistance. The assistance was to be made in the form of mortgage assistance, utilities, and fees, all associated with properties owned by folks who had experienced hardships in the wake of or as a result of the COVID pandemic. Indiana's program was established and designed based upon the experience that we had just prior with the hardest hit fund. And so we were able to set up the program really in very good time. So one thing that we did learn from the hardest hit fund is that for us, we felt that the best way to to distribute the assistance was in the form of a 5-year forgivable loan. The goal being housing stability. And we figured that if we helped folks through this difficult spot of the financial hardship, that during the course of those next 5 years, if those funds provided some stability to those families, that's really our goal. So over the course of those next 5 years, 20% per year would be forgiven. And at that point, it would be seen as a grant. Next slide. From the very beginning of the program, we were responsible for quarterly reports to Treasury. Each one of those has been subject to IHCDA's internal audit and single audit, and we have had no issues or concerns. And another aspect that we established early on was public-facing transparency. And so there is available on the 877gethope.org website a link to the IHAF data dashboard. And on that dashboard, throughout the course of the program, there's information available about demographics, about the statewide distribution of these funds, about the level of funding according to income level and so forth, according to programs, including mortgage reinstatement, including mortgage monthly payments, homeowner association fees, and insurance and property taxes. So all of that information is available. In your board packet, you have the information, at least, about how to get to that website, and there's an obvious link to click if you'd like to see more of that information. On the very next slide, there are at least 2 examples of the data that is available at that dashboard, namely the assistance dispersed by month. And so you can see that in March of 2023, we really hit the peak of funds distributed. And over the course of about a 2-year period, you can see that same period, roughly from March of 2023 through August of 2023, was the high point of the number of families assisted on a monthly basis. At that, I'd like to just, excuse me, we'll go to the next slide. And I wanted to give you just the milestones and just the little bit of framework regarding our performance. We took our first applications in January of 2022. And already by April 3rd of 2022, just 2 months later, we had made our first payments of assistance. The first payments went out the door. Roughly 18 months later, in October of 2023, we had distributed and obligated the assistance to such a level where we decided we needed to close active applications. So we did that. We had enough applications in the files where we could distribute, we could award the full $140 million that would be available. So we closed the application portal and started taking names on a waiting list. By February 12th, we had made a calculation that all of the applications that we had in hand at the time could be awarded assistance. And so we made our final awards and we closed the program to new awards. And so now in those intervening months between February and now, we have been making distributions based upon those obligations. And by the end of the year, we will close out our program completely with Treasury. Next slide, please. The dollar amounts here reflect just what an accomplishment that really is over the course of about a 2-year program. Our original budgeted assistance was just shy of $140 million, as you can see on the top line there. As of about now, we have assisted 11,330 households, each with an average of about $12,800. At this point, we have distributed over $144 million, and by the end of the program, we will achieve $145 million. And if you are the numbers person over here, Mark and Avi, you'll notice that we will have distributed and we have already obligated more than the $140 million that we had budgeted. The way that we'll have accomplished that is we have reallocated some of those administrative funds. I mentioned that we had a 15% cap. And so we've peeled away a little bit of that and pushed that toward direct assistance. And I also mentioned that if a household stays in that home for those 5 years, then the funds are forgiven. But if they move, if they sell, then the program will recoup funding that is available at the sale up to the point of the outstanding amount on that forgivable loan. And so already at this point, we have recouped almost $3 million. And at the rate that those recoupments are coming in, we are more than confident that we will have that gap of about $5 million covered between the reallocation of those administrative funds and the recoupments. So that's how we're going to accomplish having provided $145 million of assistance. Next slide, please. The map on the screen now shows that we did achieve assistance. We managed to assist folks in all 92 counties. You see the darkest of those counties are Lake County in the very northwest of the state and Marion County right there in the middle. Yeah. But then, Marion County received about $33 million of assistance. Lake County about 19 million. That has to do with the level of population and the level of need in those two counties. The next level, the next highest county comes in at about $8 million. And so there's a pretty good spread in the remaining 90 counties. But it is something to say that we managed assistance in all 92 counties.
That's great.
The demographics are shown on the next slide with just a little more, more than half are white and a fair portion are Black or African American, and there's some representation among other races as well. Next slide. This is probably the most telling of the demographic slides, that almost half of our assistance went to households who are below 50% of the area median income. And then the next quarter it went to households who are between 50% and 80% of the area median income. So we really helped those people who were in the greatest need. And just a little bit of local interest. For Harrison County, there were 225 households which we assisted with just over $500,000. And in the town of Corydon, 98 households requested and received assistance, just under $200,000. So we're happy to have assisted folks right here in this community. Now for the rest of the year, there are 3 things that we have in mind. Number one, we make good on all of those obligations for assistance. The awards that we made, we will be making payments just through August. Those will cover some households' September payments. And then we will close the books on the financial distribution. During the ensuing months up through probably October, we will continue to pay with half funding. We will pay for Foreclosure Prevention Network housing counseling. And let me go back just one slide, just to say that we fully intend to have everything closed out with Treasury by the end of the year. I anticipate that to happen in October or November. We have to have everything in tip-top shape. We will balance to the penny, and we will have all of the corresponding records between the service providers, namely the lenders and the servicers. We will have all of that wrapped up and sent off to Treasury. And within about 2 years, we will have distributed everything. 2.5 years, we will have completed the program.
Great.
And at that, I invite any questions you might have.
Curious if you'll be able to track sort of an impact on long-term housing stability for the families that have been assisted. I know this is intended to be a short-term assistance, but just curious if there's a way to know a long-term impact.
It's a little bit difficult to know, but there are 2 things that we can find out more about. And one, I'm going to give a nod to Adam Duzan. He is one of our staff who has been the backbone of the Hardest Hit Fund and now of the Homeowner Assistance Fund. He processes these recoupments on a daily or a weekly basis. And so from the records that he keeps, we will know at least who has maintained their ownership of their home.
Great.
Okay, so it's a kind of a negative to the metric that he would keep.
Mm-hmm.
And the other portion is that we can find out from our housing counselors who has come back, who has found themselves again in a hardship that they require any further assistance or any other further counseling.
Thank you.
Can that, Mike Schotmeyer, can that be reported to us later?
We'd be happy to.
Question. I think that would be
Certainly.
beneficial. I commend you on this program. The allocation chart, as a non-Indianapolis member, it's great to see that you achieved that. Proud of that. I assume with the feds, we're looked upon as Indiana always is, as an exemplary user of those funds. I'm assuming we'll receive the top award based on what you just, what you just reported is, Jake, team, well done. Really well
thank
done.
you.
You got to be proud.
A couple of pieces to that. We have been cited as an exemplary organization, for a few of the practices that we implemented during the eligibility and qualification steps. And in addition to that, we are not the very first to close our program, but we are certainly in the early wave of program completion.
And that's something we as Hoosiers are proud of when we're given something from the federal level that we are very compliant. And you got the funds out early in your report, which was most important because they're less important now. Were most of them utility, or most of them bringing more mortgages back to being on time?
Sure. At the beginning, we had put equal amounts of that funding, roughly $60 million out of the 140, $60 million each toward mortgage reinstatement, so delinquencies,
Okay,
and mortgage monthly payments, so ongoing payments. At this point, we've seen $100 million go toward the reinstatement portion
Okay.
and about 30 million go toward, $40 million to go toward those monthly payments. So it's really not balanced the way that we had anticipated at the beginning.
so we have the
private-
other utility program, so less of it went to utilities.
That's true. Yes.
But it looks like
Simple
that's
statement.
one of the qualifying. But
That's-
we mainly focused on the mortgage.
Excuse me. We didn't do any utility payments through half.
Okay,
We did homeowner insurance, property taxes, and homeowner association fees, but
Okay.
no utilities.
the property tax, of course, helps our city of Corydon and
Certainly.
Harrison. And then I'll end with, I was a recipient of one of these programs in the 80s. My daughter's here, Caitlin, and we were talking about interest rates on the way here. So it's, young people
The
are.
80s were a different
I
era.
have to remind her that my first one subsidized by a program like this was 13.5 interest rate. And I was very happy because the interest rates at that time were 18, 20, 21, 22%. So just a bit of history. And so, I mean, I'm sure people on the outside look up. I benefited from that program, and I'm grateful. State of Indiana, sure the federal government did that, whatever, 30, 40 years ago. I paid it all off, but, and I think Ann's question's a good one. Let's see that 5 year and how many we kept the stability on. I think it'll be pretty important, but the fact we got the money out early is huge, really huge, I think. So,
I mean, honestly, it should be a policy question. The federal government's also asking when you invest these kind of dollars, is there a long-term impact? I also wanted to applaud being able to use some of the administrative funds to put back in the program. That always speaks to the efficiency that the team works, and that's also
Absolutely.
good work.
I'm in the midst of Ready 2 and Ready 1 right now, so we struggle on that admin fund.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, when I saw 15%, I was like, wow, that's pretty generous. And we should give some of that back. And I bet again, if you can put in that report, Stephen or Adam, I'll bet we give more back of that than any of the other 50 states in the union. I think it's another thing we can crow about. I'll bet you money we do. That's really pretty cool that we've done that. But you'll get some funds back, right?
Well, we will continue to get those recoupments. During the period of performance, that all is supposed to be directed right back to Treasury or to Health and Human Services. But after that period of performance, that comes back to IHCDA to be used as discretionary funding. And we will put that back into programming.
Perfect. Well, again, commend you. This is awesome.
Great.
Yeah, I'll just make one comment too. I think it goes back to the fact that IHCDA's ran pretty efficiently, because to your point, there's probably a lot of states that are looking at that 15% and saying, not trying to be shady about it, but they're like, we're behind because we're not run efficiently. And so when we can get some of that money back to plug some of the holes that we have in our organization, we need it. Whereas I think with us being ran efficiently, you can put some of that money back into the program, which is of course money working. So.
So I know we'll find a way to crow about this, but as we get more info, I think this is something that we really need to publicize somewhere along the way. And I know you will, Jake.
Great work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, Executive Director Jake Sipe, give us an executive update.
Yeah, I too just want to echo the board to our team at IHCDA and how they've implemented the homeowner assistance fund. A lot of work that went into actually, and it's behind the scenes, but the public policy creation of a program from scratch like this took a lot of work. Before we could even take applications, we had to go through a pretty lengthy process of creating a policy, creating process, getting approval with the U.S. Department of Treasury before we even turned on the website to start taking applications. And so again, when we were given the green light, we started immediately in trying to move as quickly as we could, efficiently, but also with responsibility, knowing that those are public dollars. And so we were, the team has just done a great job with that. And we just never let up after we actually opened the round. And I know Adam and Stephen were constantly looking at the dollars and the allocations and forecasting out where would we be today versus in 6 months. And so, because, you know, you do have to tap the brakes on these programs to know when you can actually stop taking applications, because we just didn't want to keep taking applications and knowing that we may not be able to help folks. That was the other thing we had to be very, very sensitive to. So there was a lot that goes on to this type of program. And I'm also, as all of you have mentioned, just really proud of the fact that we were able to deliver that under budget and to put those dollars and to help our homeowners across our state. So there's a lot of work goes into those types of things, and that we don't talk about, but clearly the performance of the program is high performance, and really proud of what we've been able to accomplish. So, and we can talk about the outcomes and the outputs, but yeah, just how we've implemented the program has been amazing. So just 2 real quick items I want to share with the board. You know, IHCDA has the Indiana Permanent Supportive Housing Institute, which allows us to create a pipeline of development, housing development that's affordable, targeting our most vulnerable populations across our state. And primarily we have focused on those that are experiencing homelessness. And this year we had 4 teams that yesterday completed the Institute. The Institute's about a 4-month process. And I just want to recognize and thank the team for, again, another great institute that we had this year that's creating a pipeline of more development to come across our state with housing that is offering and providing service-enriched health opportunities for the residents. And we have a development in Lake County in a partnership with Northwest Community Action Agency and Regional Health up there. In Muncie, we have Radiant CDC and their Open Door Health Services are partnering together. And then we have 2 in Indianapolis with Collins Housing Solutions and Horizon House, and a second development, KCG, and has partnered with Adult and Child to bring these 4 developments through and hopefully receive an award from IHCDA in the future that we can present to the board. So again, creating that pipeline of permanent supportive housing across our state. And I think last month, I think Zach came and presented on the Institute and what we've seen across our state in terms of the outcomes, health outcomes, and the positive impact it's having for the residents. So that's still continuing. In the tax credit qualified allocation plan, there is a 10% of the credits is set aside for the general set aside, and it's at IHCDA's discretion. That 10% usually allows us to do 2 deals a year. And with that, we have traditionally have used those 2 developments to be innovative and challenge them to take on some type of community challenge that's at the local level. And we've seen a variety of different ways in which we've done that, everything from emerging developers to working with reducing the cost of transportation and energy, utilities, to focusing like this year on rural Indiana, where we did 2 developments, and one close by in Dell, Indiana. We just announced that will be one in Dell, Indiana. So we've seen a variety of those. This year's general set aside, we're going to take a little different approach. Rather, we always have a public hearing and invite public comment, which we always get some good feedback on ideas on what we can do to prioritize, to focus on encouraging applications for 2 developments that I would consider to be innovative. This year, we've taken the comments that we received along with some of the things that IHCDA internally we have discussed, and we're going to put it out for a vote. And so that vote, the link went out yesterday, and it'll go out again tomorrow. But we're looking at 4 different areas to target, and we're going to allow the public to tell us which ones they would like for us to do. So the first one is, should we focus on preservation of existing affordable housing that may be at a competitive disadvantage with regarding to the scoring criteria that IHCDA has in the qualified allocation plan. The second opportunity could be to support community-based not-for-profits that would be really focused on that that grassroots level in a community. And so working with our not-for-profit organizations that would own and manage a development would be another opportunity that we're looking at. We also heard from some of the folks that we should consider just taking the 10% and putting it back into the round and funding the next 2 highest applications from the round that we will be receiving applications at the end of July. So that's another opportunity. And then the fourth opportunity that we wanted to get feedback to see if folks thought might be a way that we should focus these funds is taking it towards and putting it towards the housing first. I mentioned just now the Indiana Permanent Supportive Housing Institute, how we have developments that are gone through that. And maybe we should take that for that 10% and put it into this other set aside, which we call housing first, which is basically the teams that have already gone through the Institute to support them. So we are putting out for a public vote to hear from our partners and from Hoosiers across the state, where should we prioritize this 10%? There's only 2 developments. So we're looking forward to seeing what kind of feedback in terms of a survey that we get. So we kind of narrowed it down for everybody, and we look forward to hearing what folks say about that. So I'll update the board again in about a month or so on what decision and what direction we would like to go in. So lastly, our June 27th board meeting is at 10 a.m. It'll be at IHCDA. And so I just wanted to, on the 8th floor. So just a reminder, we'll be back at our office on June 27th for the June board meeting. So, and Madam Chair, that's my update for this month.
Quick question. Are we contemplating another trip to visit another?
Yes,
one of
I
our
would
board
love to
meetings?
go to visit another, take the board on the road again.
Okay,
So we have a couple of options, and happy to have a conversation about that. So yes.
thank you. Do you have any other business to come before the board?
I'd say nothing more than just a thank you for hosting. Yeah, it's.
Thank
so
you.
Appreciate space.
Great. Hearing no other business, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We
Aye.
are adjourned. Thank you.